Tell me why that the baby mice will smell the same smell without being hooked up to the shock, and they would avoid it.
That is huge. That is absolutely huge. Hi, I'm Chris James. You're watching Healthy Alternative. Today we're going to be reacting to a video from Yaki. He is talking about inheriting fears of your parents and self-sabotage. So I think I did watch this video already, but we're going to watch it again, and I'm going to give my thoughts on what the information he's presenting. I love, listening to this young brother speak. He is extremely wise, and I think he's having a huge impact on the community. If you guys haven't already, you need to lock in with Yaki Awakened. Let's go.
Please share your views about the transgenerational epigenetic inheritance theory, that you can inherit stress from your parents, and the idea that your environment can actually change your DNA.
Okay, well, we can't call it a theory because it's been proven. So these are facts. Transgenerational epigenetic inheritance is basically transgenerational, meaning that it's transported throughout the generations or genealogies, out the gene expression of a people. Transgenerational. Epi means to be above or outer. Genetics. So that and inheritance. That means that we are inheriting things that are beyond our deoxyribonucleic acid, or that are beyond our genetic expression, but we still expressing it genetically. Meaning that there's some type of genetic marker from our ancestors. It's crazy when you read the Bible say that the Creator Yahweh will curse the children down to the third and fourth generation. Then if you read in the book of Deuteronomy, it talks about how the ancient children of Israel actually inherit the curses for the sins of their forefathers, right? Well,
okay, so just for those who, I want to make sure you guys are keeping up with what he's talking about. Basically what he's saying is we have the ability to inherit the traits, thought processes, and other such things from our parents. And this is important because as we do look at our ancient religious texts and ancient texts and things of that nature, we've been warned about this. So as we start to have our own children, and as we start to develop our own traits, or if you guys are thinking about having children, it's important to understand that you have the ability to almost copy and paste who you are right now at this moment and infuse that into your lineage. So that's important to understand. And also, he's saying this is not a theory anymore. This has been proven. And there's many examples of this. And I'm sure you guys have it in your life where, you say, oh, that boy acts just like his father, or that girl thinks just like her mother, or that girl does this just the way her mama did or her grandmama did. That is exactly what we're talking about. So we've been aware of this for a while. Science is just now catching up to and confirming what we have actually observed.
We can actually prove this scientifically. First, I want to talk about the rat experiment. There was a rat experiment that was done in 1990. 1992, remember, is when they found the meridian pathways. But 2 years before that, in 1990, it was another two, they weren't French, but it was another two scientists where they got about a few hundred rats, and they took these 200 rats, and then they put them in an isolated environment. And what they did was they let them smell something called orange cherry blossom fragrance. So these rats, they smelled orange cherry blossom fragrance, right? Every time they smell it, they would give them an electrical shock. So they hooked them up to like these electrical pulses, and every time they would smell this fragrance, that would electrically shock them. It got to the point that they were so scared to smell this fragrance, right? Well, these were all male rats, 200 male rats. These 200 male rats end up having pups. End up having baby rats or baby mice. Tell me why that the baby mice will smell the same smell without being hooked up to the shock, and they would avoid it. Not only that, the baby noses, the neurons that actually connect with their smell sense in their nose had magnified. They got bigger and bigger. So they can smell this smell from meters off and would avoid it all. They would avoid the smell in generally.
That is huge. That is absolutely huge. So essentially what we're understanding is not only is the fear passed on through the next generation and multiple generations, but the body is actually adapting to protect itself. There's an enhanced adaptation in order to protect itself from this fragrance in order not to get shocked. And the crazy thing about it is the little mice have zero idea where this fear comes from. Now, I want you guys to think about that and apply it to your current life. We are fortunate enough to be very high level conscious beings. So although this could possibly happen to us, and probably is happening to us, although this is happening to us, we have the ability to overcome it through our intention, where we are much more powerful than anything that is impacting us outside of our control. So we need to understand that these types of things happen, though, and then what we have to do is work on correcting them. We have to be intentional about seeing these little isms in our life and then actively correct. One of my friends, Coach Mel, his mom had a inclination to say no to things. Like, it was just, I don't know where that comes from, right? All I know is the story that he told me. But basically, her first thought is no. Hey, do you want to go to this thing? No. Hey, you want to try this thing? No. You know, that kind of vibe, right? And she passed that on to him. And we've had many discussions about this, right? I'll be like, hey, Mel, you should try this. And he'll be like, nah. Or I'll be like, hey, you want to taste this? Nah. It was just instant. You know what I mean? It became a running joke. And then one day he realized, man, I got that from my mom. That she was so close-minded and she would instantly say no to things out of fear or whatever the case is. And he decided he did not want to be that way. And so what I noticed him doing was, when I would offer him something, he would go to say no, and then he'd catch himself and he'd be like, all right, yeah. And as he continues to repeat that new process, guess what? When he has children, they won't develop that habit. They won't have that habit. He will have broken that cycle or that chain. Let's keep going.
So what the doctors did, they sat back and they said, whoa, hold on, we seeing something here. Because it didn't change the genes, it changed the way that the DNA read the genes. So DNA go through something called transcription, and basically the DNA reads itself. So it goes through transcription, and then after it goes through transcription, it goes through something called translation. The translation part is the reading part of the transcription. So what they noticed was that the rats read the actual genes differently, even though the genes was the same. Since the genes was messed up, and every time that these father rats smelt this for so many generations and they got an electrical shock from it, when these genes was passed to the sperm and the sperm actually created a new rat or a new mouse, when they smelt it from afar off, it automatically read to their body as fear, and it took them through a state of fight or flight, where adrenochrome and adrenaline, or what you'll call acetylcholinesterase, was actually released inside of these rats, and they smelt fear from afar off, and they wouldn't even go in the area where this actual orange blossom was. Showing you that trauma, that fear, and that past experience and events can actually be transferred through your sperm cells or through the ovaries when you are actually conceiving and making.
This is big. So now what this helps you to understand is, when it comes to what this helps you understand is that when it comes to being predisposed to certain disorders, diseases, or etc., then it means possibly that this is something that's being passed down to you, and your genes are being read. Your body, you are reading the gene differently than someone else or a different culture of people, and therefore you are more prone. But this does not. This gives you way more control. You know what I mean? I think it's important to be aware of these factors, and we can look at a lot of the different studies that are available to us right now and kind of see different cultures of people and how we have these predispositions. But then that empowers us, right? It empowers us to strengthen our immune system and strengthen our resolve against certain disorders and diseases, so that we do not have to deal with them. And then as we pass that strength on to our children, we can actually eliminate and change the course of our culture, which is it's incredible.
A baby. So now let's back this up too. Let's go to humans. They did another study. This was somewhere in another different country. I can't remember the year, so I don't want to quote it. But basically, they looked at white males that went through famine. It was a famine that happened many years ago, and they noticed that the white males that went through famine, they lived longer. Their bone structures got stronger because the stress put on their body, it changed their molecular structure. It made them adapt to become like mutants. They got stronger. They wasn't hungrier. Yes, exactly. Built-in preservation. Literally, they was able to preserve themselves genetically. Well, check this out. They had children, and they children on an average lived 36 years longer than everybody else
Wow.
in that demographic. Not only that, their immune systems was very, very strong, or what I call the lymphatic defense system. Not only that, they didn't get colds, they didn't get viruses, and it was only the ones that participated in that famine. Anybody else that was outside of that famine, they died earlier. If a virus came through, all of them got viruses. All right, so let's keep going. What about slavery? And what happened to the so-called African Americans that's indigenous to America? And how we were prisoners of war, and how a people came over to the United States and they claimed they discovered it. But the people that they found here, which is my ancestors, they literally worked them and beat them and ripped them in half. They had something called breaking the buck, where they will literally do homosexual activities on the alpha males of the clans. They stripped them of their rights. They stripped them of their land. They will hang them for trees. They will sick dogs on them and let dogs rip them apart. And they children witnessed this, and this things was embedded. This trauma was embedded inside of the DNA, inside of the genomes. So now today, when you look at the average so-called African American, we are naturally high in blood pressure, hypertension. That have something to do with the kidneys, the adrenals, and the heart. We're naturally high in diabetes. That has something to do with the kidneys, the adrenals, the heart, and the pancreas. We're naturally high in all these different stress-related diseases, even if we eat well. So what's happening there? Is that a transgenerational epigenetic marker that have been passed down through what our ancestors have experienced, the reality? Yes, it is. So we see that it's very, very real, and there's too many scientific databases and analysis actually showing that these things exist. There is more than genetics that is just passed down. I know people be like, boy, you look just like your daddy, but you hear it from your grandma and your mother all the time. Boy, you act just like your daddy.
That's huge, man. So in this last segment, he basically talked about how not only can you see the negative, aspect of this through, all of the things that may have been done to your ancestors and how that kind of keeps your demographic in a fight or flight. But it also shows how the impact of famine or stress, we'll call it maybe good stress, can make you more strong and make you more resistant, and we see that as well. I think this content, I think this is fascinating. I think it's fascinating, and it speaks to how we can really give our lineage a leg up on the competition by being strong individuals, by putting ourselves through the fire, if you will, but in a good way. It's kind of like the way you go to the gym and you stretch your muscles, but you don't want to strain your muscles, and you want to give them time to heal and restore and all that, right? So we can put ourselves in environments that will stress our body in a good way, and we can pass that strength on to our children outside of just simply passing on like resources like money. We can pass on intellect, we can pass on resistance to different viruses and things, we can pass on strength, we can also pass on resources, we can pass on love and compassion, we can pass on many things. So it's very important, I think, that we look at it this way and we start to understand the benefit of self-improvement beyond just what it does for us today, which is amazing as well. Right? Like, we get this life here, we want to have an amazing life as well, but we do want to pass on good things to our lineage. So I'm gonna stop here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I mean, this man is incredible. His mind, his intellect is it's rare. I think I would say it's rare in the way that he tells his stories and things of that nature. The way he pieces information together is incredible. So if you guys want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe, comment, let me know if there's some videos you guys maybe want me to react to, you want to hear my opinion on stuff. And as always, the application of knowledge is power, and I'll see you all next time.